imagine you finally found it. The partner who actually listens, the job that respects your time, or the friendship that feels like a safe harbor. For most people, this is the finish line. It's the moment they finally exhale. But for you, the moment things start going too well is exactly when the alarm bells start ringing. Suddenly, you're picking fights over nothing. You're finding flaws in someone who was perfect yesterday. You might even disappear entirely, ghosting the very life you claimed you wanted. On the outside, it looks like self-sabotage. It looks like you're ungrateful or hard to please, but inside, it's a sophisticated survival mechanism designed to protect you from the one thing your brain fears more than failure, the pain of losing something that actually matters. This is the psychology of upper limiting. It's a hidden ceiling on your happiness that dictates exactly how much peace you're allowed to feel before your subconscious decides it's time to burn the house down. Today, we're investigating the dark mechanics of why we push people away when things get too good, the childhood blueprints that create this happiness ceiling, and the neurological reason why your brain treats intimacy like a physical threat. Let's investigate. To understand why a human being would intentionally destroy their own happiness, we have to look at the concept of the familiarity filter. Evolutionarily, your brain isn't designed to make you happy. It's designed to keep you safe. And in the world of survival, safe is synonymous with familiar. If you grew up in a home where love was conditional, chaotic, or eventually withdrawn, your nervous system calibrated itself to that frequency. Peace feels like the quiet before the storm. Therefore, when you enter a healthy relationship, your brain doesn't see a good thing. It sees an anomaly. It sees a situation that doesn't match your internal map of reality. This leads us into our first deep dive, the waiting for the other shoe to drop phenomenon. For many quiet overachievers and survivors of emotional neglect, happiness is a debt that eventually has to be paid back with interest. You feel a sense of foreboding joy. When things are going well, you aren't enjoying the moment. You're scanning the horizon for the disaster that must be coming to balance the scales. You think, this is too good to be true. But here is a psychological twist. The tension of waiting for a disaster is actually more painful than the disaster itself. Therefore, you subconsciously decide to trigger the disaster yourself. By picking a fight or pulling away, you end the suspense. You take control of the ending so it doesn't happen to you. You'd rather be lonely by choice than abandoned by surprise. But there's a deeper layer to this, rooted in what psychologists call negative core beliefs. Deep down, if you believe you are fundamentally unlovable or broken, a person who loves you purely becomes a threat to your identity. If they see you as wonderful and you see yourself as a mess, one of you has to be wrong. And since your brain is desperate to be right about itself, it starts looking for evidence to prove the other person is lying or just hasn't seen the real you yet. This is the imposter syndrome of intimacy. You push them away because their kindness feels like a mirror showing you a version of yourself you aren't ready to believe in. You pull back to a distance where your flaws feel hidden again. This brings us to the attachment trap. According to attachment theory, those with a fearful avoidant or dismissive avoidance style have a nervous system that treats closeness like a loss of autonomy. As the relationship deepens, the stakes get higher. The more you care, the more power that person has to hurt you. To a brain wired for self-protection, intimacy looks like a high-altitude climb without a harness. The higher you go, the more the too good feeling starts to feel like vertigo. You aren't pushing them away because you don't care. You're pushing them away because you care so much that the possibility of them leaving is now a life-threatening prospect. We also have to discuss the upper limit problem, a term coined by Dr. Gay Hendricks. Each of us has an internal thermostat for how much success, love, and creativity we allow ourselves to enjoy. When we exceed that setting, we find ways to cool down our lives back to our comfort zone. This might look like getting a massive promotion and then immediately getting into a car accident because you were distracted by guilt. Or it looks like having a perfect date and then not texting back for 3 days. You are literally turning down the heat because your system is overheating with positive emotion. It's a form of emotional homeostasis. You aren't broken. You're just trying to get back to the temperature your childhood set for you. The but in this narrative is that most of this happens without us ever realizing it. You don't wake up and say, I think I'll ruin my life today. Instead, it manifests as rationalized rejection. You tell yourself they're too clingy or not ambitious enough, or that you just need space to focus on work. You create a logical narrative to justify a primal fear-based reaction. You convince yourself that you're being discerning, when in reality, you're being defensive. This creates a tragic loop. You spend your life searching for the right person, but you've built a psychological moat that ensures no one can ever actually reach the castle. So, how do we stop the machinery of self-sabotage? It starts with expanding the container. You have to train your nervous system to sit with the discomfort of things being good. It sounds counterintuitive, but for a person who pushes people away, feeling safe is a skill that must be practiced. It's called titration, allowing yourself to feel small amounts of intimacy and joy without running away until your internal thermostat slowly begins to rise. If you've spent your life as the one who leaves first, understand that your sabotage was once a survival skill. It kept you safe when the world was unpredictable, but you aren't in that world anymore. The walls you built to protect yourself have become the walls of your own prison. The grand payoff isn't just finding someone who stays, it's becoming the person who finally stays for themselves. If this investigation into the too good trap resonated with you, it's a sign that you're ready to stop running. You're the kind of person who knows that understanding the why is the only way to change the how. Subscribe and join a community of people who are dismantling their own ceilings and learning to live in the light without waiting for the dark. I'll see you in the next one.